On the news, Army debunks execution of soldiers by ISWAP fighter. Senate's presidency probed DSS invasion of Abuja High Court last week. And Britain's vote to decide country's fate in the European Union. Many thanks for joining us on News Now. I am Annetta Phillips. The Nigerian Army has described a purported viral video in which some men held hostage in an open field were executed as false. In a statement on Thursday, the acting director of Army Public Relations, Colonel Sagi Musa, stressed that the video was doctored. Musa stressed that contrary to the content of the video, no incidents that involved the capture and killing of tens of Nigerian soldiers on the 10th of December 2019 was ever reported. He further stated that a preliminary observation of the clip revealed that the entire event captured in the footage was not an occurrence that took place at any point in time within the shores of the country. The Army spokesman, who insisted that the video was inciting and divisive, attributed its origin to the outlawed indigenous people of Biafra hip-hop group. Colonel Musa also insisted that the Army remains committed to sustaining the war against terrorism and will not be deterred by any propagandist activity. Still on security, President Muhammadu Buhari and his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah el-Sisi have pledged to collaborate to eradicate the menace of terrorism in parts of Africa. Both leaders made the commitment on Thursday during a meeting on the sidelines of the ASOM Forum on Sustainable Peace and Development in Africa taking place in Egypt. President Buhari noted that countries of the West African sub-region were already in close collaboration towards combating terrorism by setting up a multinational task force. In his remarks, Sisi briefed his Nigerian counterpart on the efforts of his government on counter-terrorism, particularly on the Sinai and the borders with Libya. He reiterated his willingness to synergize with the Nigerian government on all fronts to conquer the evil of terrorism. President Buhari had earlier announced that Nigeria has already taken the strategic decision to bring down barriers that have hindered the free movement of people within the country by introducing the issuance of visa at the point of entry into Nigeria to all persons holding passports of African countries with effect from January 2020. The Nigerian Senate has instituted a probe into the invasion of the Federal High Court in Abuja by operatives of the Department of State Service, DSS. Armed operatives of the Secret Police had stormed the court on Friday in a bid to rearrest Omoyele Sowore less than 24 hours after he was released on bail. The matter was raised by Senator Okoyemi Bamidele as a point of order during plenary today. Bamidele stated that the desecration of the court has resulted in public outcry and should not be swept under the carpet. In his ruling, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, directed the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to investigate the case and submit its report in 1 week.
The reported alleged invasion of the courtroom, again by alleged officials of the Department of State for Security, is one issue that has raised a lot of concern in different quarters in Nigeria. The leadership and members of the judiciary are particularly concerned about this development because they believe, like the rest of us do, that the courtroom is meant to be a sanctuary. But for us as a Senate, we cannot begin to take a position or analyze issues based on conclusion without facts that we consider incontrovertible.
To find out what happened instead of opening up some kind of this thing. So I would suggest that the committee, our Committee on Judiciary Legal Matters, investigates, finds out what actually happened, and then report back to us in 1 week.
The federal government has also ordered an investigation into the invasion, which was widely condemned by Nigerians. Since it was established in 1930, top management positions in the Nigeria police force has been dominated by male officers. The Nigerian Senate has now commenced legislative action to completely remove all forms of gender discriminatory provisions in the Police Act. The lawmakers took the decision after a bill seeking the amendment of the Police Act of 2004 to expunge 4 provisions discriminating against female officers passed second reading on the floor of the Senate today. Bedela Agunsha has more in this report.
Women make up a small number of the over 371,000 officers in the Nigeria police force. This low number is often blamed on the strict laws guiding the conduct of female police officers. But lawmakers at the Nigeria Senate are hoping to change these grim statistics with a new bill that seeks equal right for police personnel. Sponsor of the bill, Senator Onyewuchi Ezenwa, highlights areas which the bill seeks to correct.
Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, by expunging the gender discriminatory provisions of the regulations 122, 123, 124, and 127. Essentially, this bill seeks to expunge the provisions of Regulation 122, 123, 124, and 127 from the Principal Act for the following reasons. 1. Regulation 122 restricts female police officers assigned to the General Duty Branch of the MPF to telephone, clerical, and office orderly duties. B. Regulation 123 prohibits women police from drilling under arms. C. Regulation 124 mandates female police officers to apply for permission to marry, while the intending fiancé is also investigated for criminal records. Since a male police officer is not subjected to the same inhibitions, the current regulations are inconsistent with sections 42 of the Constitution and Article 2 of the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, which have prohibited discrimination on the basis of sex. There is therefore a need to expunge the above regulations, and it is not reasonably justifiable in a democratic state like Nigeria, which has domesticated the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and ratified the protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the rights of women in Africa and the Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women.
The bill thereafter gains the support of other lawmakers who say female police personnel should be allowed to marry individuals of their choice and also take up more responsibilities.
It's not peculiar to police. All agencies, all law enforcement agencies, and globally, in UK, in all European countries, the best law enforcement personnel are female because they've been trained to do so. But we are not doing that in Nigeria, and I think it's not fair.
Constitutional review. I think it's high time we take the bull by the horns and revisit some of these primitive laws that have been made that have kept our nation in bondage of some sort, and take a decisive decision to get rid of it and give us a constitution that will make us more progressive and more modern in our lives.
We must come out with a holistic approach to the problems challenging Nigeria police so that they can be effective. Their condition of service is something that we have to look into. The way and manner provisions that are made in the Constitution, in the money bill, gets to the divisional police offices around the local government is something we have to look into.
It's very strange to find such provisions in the Police Act, which is discriminatory in the sense that the male counterparts don't have the same restrictions. A male counterpart can marry a criminal. Nobody will go to check whether the woman he wants to marry is a criminal or not. A male counterpart does not need to write to ask for permission.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan also throws his weight behind the bill, suggesting that it should be extended to other law enforcement agencies.
It will also encourage us to look back into the other services the immigration, the prison service, and other similar paramilitary agencies to find out if this kind of obnoxious systemic discrimination against women are there, so that we are able to deal with them expeditiously.
Following the debate, the bill was subjected to a voice vote and has now been referred to a Senate committee for further review. If this bill is eventually passed by the Senate and assented by President Muhammadu Buhari, women will be more encouraged to join the Nigeria police force and effectively take up more tasks and responsibilities like their male counterparts.
A second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. Aye, sir.
Fidele Aguncha, TV360, Nigeria.
Ibrahim Mohammed, Chief Justice of Nigeria, has advocated amendment of the Constitution for the accommodation of peculiarities of Sharia law. Speaking at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Kaduna State, during the 20th Annual Judges Conference, Mohammed stated that the inclusion of more Sharia law components will cater for concerns of Muslims in the country. The Chief Judge, represented by Mohammed Danjuma, Grand Qadi of Niger State, spoke on the theme Documentation of Contracts in Islamic Law, Procedure, Sample Precedent, and Practice. The event was organized by the Center for Islamic Legal Studies, CILS, of the university in collaboration with the National Judicial Institute, NGI, Abuja. Mohammed said more sections of the Constitution that allow implementation of Sharia law will enable lawyers in the Sharia law specialization do better. Still on judicial matters, Simon Amubeda, a judge in the Federal High Court in Calabar, has recused himself from the case of Agba Jalingo. In his ruling on Wednesday, Justice Amubeda granted the prayers of the defendant, who asked the Federal High Court to reassign his case to another judge. Jalingo made the demand after Amubeda was caught in a leaked audio saying the journalist's life was in the hands of the court, implying that judgment is in the court is a matter of favor rather than law and justice. On recusing himself, Justice Amubeda stated that it's the administrative judge of the division that assigns cases, and since Jalingo's case was assigned to him, it was only proper to refer the case back to the administrative judge, Justice Shraibu. Jalingo, a journalist, is standing trial over an attempt to topple the government of Cross River after he published a story on how Governor Benedict Ayade of Cross River State allegedly approved and diverted 500 million naira meant for the Cross River State Microfinance Bank. A High Court sitting in Yola, Adamawa State Capital, has sentenced 2 staff of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for collecting the sum of 362 million naira as bribe. The 2 officials, Ibrahim Mohammed and Shahabo Iya Haman, were convicted on Thursday for collecting the said amount from the former Minister of Petroleum, Liziani Alison Madueke, during the 2015 general elections. The High Court, presided by Justice Nathan Musa, convicted the 2 officials and subsequently sentenced them to 21 years in prison on a 3-count charge. While delivering judgment, Justice Musa said the evidence from the 15 witnesses presented by the EFCC, including the suspect testimonies, proved their involvement beyond reasonable doubt. Following plea by the counsel for leniency, Justice Musa said the best they could do for them was that the 7 years each for the 3 counts they were convicted for would run concurrently. The judge urged the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, to liaise with Interpol to arrest and present the 3rd respondent, Liziani, to face her charges. Meanwhile, INEC has filed an appeal to challenge the judgment which declared Natasha Akpoti, candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, eligible to contest the Kogi State governorship election. In the case filed at the Court of Appeal in Abuja, the electoral umpire stated its dissatisfaction with the judgments delivered by Justice Folashade Ogunbanjo Giwa on November 7th at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Justice Ogunbanjo Giwa at the time ruled that INEC was wrong to have disqualified Akpoti from the November 16 poll. Akpoti and her running mate Adams Khalid had approached the court to challenge their exclusion from the governorship election by INEC. INEC then refused to accept the nomination of Khalid in replacement of the earlier nominated running mate Mohammed Yakubu and disqualified the SDP for nominating an unqualified deputy governorship candidate. In her judgment, she held that INEC lacks the power to disqualify any candidate for an election, as it was the exclusive preserve of a competent court of law. Akpoti Kimidi ran third in the November 16 election won by incumbent Yahaya Bello of the All Progressives Congress, APC. All 36 states' governments must conclude negotiations and commence payments of the new national minimum wage by December 31st, 2019. President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Ayuba Waba, issued the ultimatum at the end of a one-day meeting of all interest groups on the implementation of the new national minimum wage. The meeting was held to give participants the opportunity to review the consequential adjustments in salaries based on the approved 30,000 naira national minimum wage. Present at the meeting were the leadership of the NLC, all the state chairmen of the NLC and their counterparts in the Joint Negotiating Council, the Trade Union Congress side. From the state, the Minister of Labour and Employment, heads of state service of states and the International Labour Organization, ILO. As it stands, only 4 states have commenced the implementation of the new national minimum wage of 30,000 naira. The states are Kaduna, Kebbi, Lagos, and Adamawa. Police officers in Abuja on Thursday dispersed protesting members of the proscribed Islamic movement in Nigeria, IMN. The protesting members took to the streets at Wuse, Bega axis of Abuja to commemorate the death of their members during the incident in Zaria between them and the Chief of Army Staff. The protest, which kicked off from Wuse Market, was disrupted at Bega bus stop when the police officers dispersed the crowd. The demonstrators retaliated in anger and pelted the policemen with stones. Commercial activities have since been grounded around the area as people scurried for safety. You're watching news now on TV360 Nigeria. We'll be right back to join Oyin Adekule for business stories.
Corruption not in my country.
That was a very good business. Yeah. The furniture you brought was very perfect.
That's how we roll.
Because let me do you receipts.
Yeah. How much of it again?
1 million naira.
Okay, write 2.5.
Mbano. The deal was for 1 million naira now.
Okay, write 3 million. I'll give you 500.
Oh no, I don't do business like that now. Yeah.
In that case, give me back my check. Let me go and look for vendor that business.
Take.
Your loss.
It is only for incorruptible customers. What are you talking?
Now get out.
What kind of this?
You will just die.
No,
you will die.
That is the door. Now get out from here.
Rubbish.
Look, my people, make una only add money for original invoice price. That's not corruption. Say no, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. We have Oyin Adekule here for business stories. Hello, Oyin.
Hi, Anita.
So yes, Oyin has updates on the strike action embarked on by stakeholders in the power sector.
Well, thank you, Aneta. The National Union of Electricity Employees, NUEE, has suspended the strike it embarked upon on Wednesday. The union took the action, which lasted 24 hours, after a 21-day ultimatum issued to Saleh Maman, the Minister of Power, to implement its demands. It had said there was no other option but to down tools, since Maman failed to initiate a dialogue before the ultimatum lapsed at midnight on Tuesday. But in a statement on Thursday, Joe Ajaero, General Secretary of NUEE, said the union decided to shelve the strike after a meeting with the federal government. He said all the concerns of the union and its members were addressed in the meeting, which lasted till the early hours of Thursday. Meanwhile, the national grid collapsed during the strike, which led to the shutting down of the services of most distribution companies across the country. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has reiterated its commitment to ensuring availability of petroleum products during the Yuletide season. Its group managing director, Malam Mele Kyari, gave the assurance at the foundation laying ceremony of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Tower on Thursday in Lagos State. Kyari was represented by the managing director of the Petroleum Products Marketing Company, PPMC, Bala Wunti. Wunti revealed that the agency is working closely with the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, to ensure ample supply of petroleum products across the country.
The effort is being done by the group managing director, which has repeated all the time, is that there's not going to be scarcity this time. We have sufficient supply. We have every stakeholder, particularly NUPEM, with us in ensuring that this product is distributed to reach the nook and crannies of this country. So we will not see any scarcity. We will make sure that we enjoy our Christmas and we enjoy our New Year without any hindrance that will be caused by lack of supply of petroleum products.
More than 300 billion naira could not be accounted for in the 2017 budget audit report, and this is according to the Center for Social Justice. The group attributed this to the violation of fiscal and audit rules by about 265 government agencies during the year under review. Lead director of the center, Eze Onyekpere, announced this while appraising the report recently released by the Auditor General of the Federation.
160 agencies defaulted in submission of audited accounts for 2016, while 265 agencies defaulted in submission for 2017. So we have a situation where instead of improving, the situation seems to be deteriorating, while 11 agencies have never submitted any financial statements since inception. The implication of the foregoing is that the incidence of defaults, instead of decreasing, is increasing. The key findings range from irregular expenditures to failure to remit surplus revenue to the Treasury, all running into billions of naira. Also notable was the continued failure in the implementation of International Public Sector Accounting Standards, IPSAS. Overall, the findings were indicative of significant weaknesses in expenditure control, accounting, financial reporting, and in the completeness and accuracy of consolidated financial statements. Responses to audit queries did not improve in the year under consideration. So essentially what we have is a litany of woes, evidencing the poor management and unaccountability of the federal fiscal system.
Let's take a short break here and return with stock market review. Please stay tuned. For the second time this week and since the start of the month, the NSE is recording gains of 0.51% in crucial market indicators. At the close of trading today, the market capitalization of all listed equities, which opened at 12.7 trillion naira, added about 100 billion to close at 12.823 trillion naira. And this rebound has been attributed to renewed bargain hunting activities in some high capitalized equities. Today, Presco conveniently led the pack of 17 gainers after its share price rose from 37 naira and 85 kobo to 41 naira 45 kobo. Trailing Presco is Nigeria Breweries, which also garnered 1.45 naira gain to close at 52 naira 70 kobo per share. A 1 naira price gain did it for Guarantee Trust Bank, actually upturned the poor performance from previous session from 28 naira to 29 naira today. And of course, the shares of Dangote Sugar also increased by 90 kobo. Conversely, to the percentage laggards now that didn't quite perform well, Union Bank was the worst performer for the day, followed by Cotix PLC. We also see that Unilever Nigeria PLC also shared 10 kobo each, and of course, and WAPCO shared 10 kobo each in their respective share prices to close at 18 naira 40 kobo and 13 naira 50 kobo respectively. In summary, over 300 million shares were traded today, and that's an increase of nearly 200 million when compared to what was traded in previous session. The value of trade, however, showed a difference of about 48 million naira. That's when compared to what the value summed up to yesterday. And let's now move on to the foreign scene and see how global markets perform today. It's all green in FTSE, Dow Jones, and Nikkei. On the foreign scene, we see that FTSE remained higher as the country goes to the polling station. U.S. stocks also climbed as President Trump suggests the trade deal is near. Despite having a sluggish start, we see that the Nikkei average gradually turned positive, and that's due to performance in the semiconductor sector. And that's it from here. Aneta, it's back to you.
Thank you so much for that, Oyi. Moving on now, voting is underway in the United Kingdom's snap general elections, with millions expected to deliver their verdict on the Brexit crisis engulfing British politics. Thursday's ballots will shape how or whether the UK will finally exit the European Union after months of parliamentary deadlock over how to execute the results of its 2016 referendum on membership of the bloc. The vote brings to an end a hot campaign period during which Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Conservative Party and Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party have offered starkly different visions for resolving the impasse and rebuilding the UK after a decade of austerity. Johnson wants to action a swift exit from the EU, while Corbyn is committed to holding a second referendum over the issue. Polls opened at 7 a.m. and is expected to close at 10 p.m. local time, with final results expected by early Friday morning. The organizers of the Kogosi Ekiti Marathon have confirmed the participation of no fewer than 2,000 runners, including 30 elite athletes in the race. The marathon, which is set to hold on Saturday, 14th December, will be the first edition of the 10-kilometer race in the state. The participation is coming after Governor of the state, Kayode Fayemi, assured participants in the race of adequate security and conducive environments for a hitch-free competition. While addressing organizers of the race, Fayemi said his administration will continue to provide platforms for citizens of his state, especially the youth, to showcase their talent. And that's it on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now.